Welcome to this explainer on Chapter 4 of Barrio, Minton, and Lenz's textbook. Today, we're going to completely demystify the process of program development and evaluation. Now, let's be real for a second. If you're studying in a clinical mental health counseling program, especially within a Buddhist-informed contemplative cohort, hearing phrases like data collection or program evaluation might initially sound, well, a little dry. It might even feel disconnected from the deep, relational, one-on-one healing work you actually want to do. But stick with me here, because what we're really talking about today is intentionality. We're going to look at how systematic evaluation isn't just crunching numbers, it's literally an extension of mindful, compassionate care on a much larger community level.
The authors point out a brilliant perspective shift. Believe it or not, you are already acting as a scientist in the laboratories of your clients' lives. Think about it. You sit down, you conceptualize what might be limiting a client's progress, and then you implement an intervention. Maybe it's a specific mindfulness technique or a cognitive reframe. You have them test it out in their daily life, and they report back. If it works, awesome, you keep doing it. If it doesn't, you modify it. You see, you're already gathering data and testing hypotheses every single session. This explainer is simply about taking that natural investigative curiosity you have for the individual and expanding it outward to the community.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering 5 key areas: the clinical foundation, the macro view, intentional design, mindful construction, and finally, interconnected systems. Let's jump right in.
Part 1. The macro view. Taking our focus from the individual to the community. When we intentionally zoom out from that one-on-one client session, we really start to see the broader socio-ecological landscape that our clients navigate every single day. Developing a program to help them is, at its core, a deeply virtuous endeavor. But building a virtuous program requires a very systematic path. We can't just wing it. The authors outlined 3 distinct steps to ensure procedural transparency and honest implementation: clarifying the problem, identifying goals, and specifying objectives. Let's break those down. Step 1 is clarifying the broader problem. In clinical work, we're usually super focused on a client's immediate presenting issue. But here, we have to look at systemic suffering through a much wider lens. What overarching issue is truly burdening the community? Barrio, Minton, and Lenz give us some heavy but very real examples, like the high incarceration rates of individuals with mental health diagnoses, or the devastating opioid crisis. By getting crystal clear on this overarching issue, we make absolutely sure our intervention serves the community's deepest needs, rather than just slapping a temporary bandage on a symptom. Okay, once that broader problem is clear, you've got to intentionally set a general goal. And to be clear, a goal isn't just some vague, hopeful wish. It has to explicitly state the exact intended effect your intervention will have on the specific problem and on the target population. For example, your goal might be decreasing recidivism among individuals who have mental health diagnoses. That goal becomes your North Star. It's your formally declared intention to reduce a very specific form of suffering for a specific group of people. So to actually reach those overarching goals, we need objectives. Objectives tell us exactly how we're going to get there and what success actually looks like. We split these into 2 camps: process objectives and outcome objectives. Process objectives are the mindful actions we actually do, like the number of group sessions we hold or the specific coping strategies we teach. Outcome objectives, on the other hand, measure the definitive results, the actual degree to which our intended effect happened in the community. And as a quick best practice reminder, always make both of these SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-referenced. Section 2. Mindful construction. This is where we actually design the intervention.
So now that our problem, goals, and objectives are locked in, it's time to move from intention to action. How do we actually build this container for healing? When we're passionate and eager to help, it's super tempting to just jump right in, based purely on our gut intuition. But the text wisely reminds us to pump the brakes. We need to base our program design on 4 critical foundation steps: frameworks, culturally responsive techniques, clear roles and activities, and dosage impact interactions. Let's look at how these pieces fit together. First up, frameworks. Literally, every effective program needs to be grounded in a strong theoretical framework that explains the how and why of the desired change. For instance, Marsha Linehan's dialectical behavior therapy was famously grounded in biosocial theory. As contemplative counselors, your framework might be a beautifully integrated blend of Western psychological theories with Eastern philosophies, like dependent origination. Whatever it is, you absolutely need a clear theoretical backbone to support the work you're doing. Next, we have to look at the techniques and procedures themselves. These must absolutely be culturally responsive to your target population. You've got two main avenues to explore here. You can use evidence-based practices, which come backed by strong existing academic research, or you can lean into practice-based evidence, which bubbles up from deep, practical, boots-on-the-ground clinical wisdom. Both avenues are incredibly valid and powerful, as long as they genuinely honor the cultural context and the highly specific needs of the folks you are serving. After that, we define the roles: who provides the service, who participates, who evaluates. But perhaps the most fascinating piece of this puzzle is the concept of dosage-impact interactions. Think of dosage not as a medication, but as the right amount of mindful presence or intervention hours required to actually spark a meaningful change. How many sessions are actually needed? What is the minimum threshold of exposure required to make a real impact? You have to carefully calibrate this dosage so the community actually receives the profound benefit you're aiming for.
Finally, Section 3, interconnected systems, and the beauty of the logic model.
So we have all these beautiful moving parts, right? Problems, goals, frameworks, dosages. How on earth do we hold them all together in a way that honors their interconnectedness without the whole thing devolving into chaos? The answer from the authors is the logic model. This acts as a brilliant visual map of cause and effect. It maps out the specific resources you put in, the activities you do, the outputs you generate, and the ultimate impacts you achieve. It literally draws a line showing exactly how your mindful inputs theoretically lead to a tangible reduction in community suffering.
Now, you might be asking, why go through the tedious trouble of filling out all those boxes? Well, using this template does way more than just help secure funding from stakeholders, though, let's be honest, it is fantastic for that. It acts as a vital safeguard. It helps you discover hidden gaps in your reasoning. It gives your entire team a shared, unified language, but most importantly, it prevents what we call mission drift. It ensures that the nitty-gritty daily activities of your program never, ever drift away from your original, compassionate purpose. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to really chew on. We so often think of research and data evaluation as something entirely separate from the art of counseling. But if our ultimate goal is to alleviate suffering, then making sure our interventions actually work isn't just an academic exercise. It is a profound ethical imperative. So I ask you, how might evaluating a future program serve as a natural extension of your compassionate care for the community? Reflect on how procedural transparency and systematic evaluation can actually amplify your healing impact. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope this clears a beautiful path for your future program development.